If World War III will happen, what will happen to the world? What would be the end of the world? How would it affect us humans? And most importantly, how would this affect our everyday lives? Well, we can only speculate, but let's see what experts have to say about this. World War III consequences. First things first, let's talk about human casualties. During the Cold War, some scientists estimated that a large-scale nuclear exchange would result in approximately 1 billion deaths. However, today, the number of people living on Earth has grown to nearly 8 billion people. Therefore, a similar conflict would likely result in many more deaths. In fact, it's been estimated that an all-out nuclear war could wipe out tens or even hundreds of millions of people. As previously mentioned, World War III would be far more destructive than any other conflict in history due to the involvement of nuclear weapons. However, there are many potential scenarios that could play out, each with its own unique set of challenges and consequences. For example, direct confrontation between nuclear powers could escalate quickly into a full-scale nuclear exchange, resulting in massive casualties and widespread destruction. On the other hand, a limited use of nuclear weapons could still have devastating consequences for the areas targeted while avoiding global annihilation. But regardless of the specific scenario, it's clear that World War III would bring untold suffering to countless millions, in addition to the immediate loss of life. There would be long-term health effects such as cancer and birth defects caused by radiation fallout. There is also the risk of nuclear winter, which could occur if large amounts of smoke and debris are released into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and causing global cooling. This could lead to mass starvation and other disasters, especially if it lasts for several years. Furthermore, the psychological toll of World War III would be immense, with survivors suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and other mental health issues for years to come. So yes, World War III could very well result in the end of the world as we know it. So now let's discuss World War III. Doomsday scenarios including total nuclear war. First, let's take a look at total nuclear war. There are some things to keep in mind here. Firstly, total nuclear war is unlikely to involve every country in the world, but rather a select few with the most powerful nuclear arsenals. As it stands today, there are around 9 countries with nuclear weapons, and all but one are members of the UN Security Council. While the blast radius of a single bomb may seem small, the fireball and thermal radiation emitted can easily destroy buildings up to several miles away. But the real danger lies in the long-term effects of radiation. If the amount of nuclear fallout is high enough, it could render affected areas stuck in a vicious cycle of high mutation rates and low fertility for thousands of years. Thirdly, there is the possibility of nuclear winter. If the detonation of so many bombs creates a large enough cloud of smoke and dust, it could block out the sun and cause global temperatures to drop dramatically. This could lead to mass starvation and a breakdown in the ecosystem as plants die off and animals migrate or starve. Finally, fourthly, there is the possibility of EMP, electromagnetic pulse, which can be created by a nuclear bomb blast or high-altitude detonation, could disrupt electronic devices, and knock out power grids and telecommunications. Now let's examine some alternative scenarios. It is highly unlikely that all 9 nuclear powers would engage in total war. In fact, it is more likely that only a few would be directly involved, while others may get caught up in the crossfire or choose sides. In this case, the outcome would depend heavily on the specific circumstances of the conflict and the strategies employed by each side. If nuclear weapons were used, even on a limited scale, the consequences would be dire. The blast and thermal radiation alone would be enough to flatten cities within a few miles of the detonation point, displacing millions and causing widespread destruction. Radiation fallout could contaminate affected areas, making them stuck in a vicious cycle of high mutation rates and low fertility for thousands of years. Additionally, EMP could wreak havoc on electronics and infrastructure, knocking out power grids and telecommunications and sending countries into chaos. The psychological toll of such a conflict would also be immense, with survivors struggling to cope with the loss of life and the destruction of their world. Even if the conflict did not result in a nuclear winter or an EMP event, the use of nuclear weapons would undoubtedly cause widespread destruction and suffering. Cities would be reduced to rubble, farmland would be contaminated, and the environment would be poisoned. It would be a humanitarian catastrophe of unimaginable proportions. So what would be the end of the world? As mentioned before, The end of the world could come in different forms, could mean the end of our planet, or the end of everything. We live in a universe full of mysteries and possibilities, and it's hard to predict what could happen. One possibility is that the Big Crunch theory could come true. According to this theory, the universe is expanding at an accelerating rate and will continue to do so until all galaxies are pulled apart and no longer interact with each other. Another possibility is heat death. According to this theory, the universe will continue to expand until all available energy is depleted and all matter reaches maximum entropy. At this point, no new stars can form, and all existing stars will go out, leaving the universe in total darkness. Yet another possibility is the heat death of the universe, which suggests that the universe will contract back in on itself, collapsing into a singularity. Many scientists believe that at this point, the universe will begin again with a Big Bang. However, it's important to note that these theories are not mutually exclusive and could all occur simultaneously. In short, we really don't know what will happen when the universe reaches its end. But one thing is certain, it will be unlike anything we have ever seen before. Let us go back to reality and finish our conversation about World War III. What does our future hold? Will we face a nuclear apocalypse, or will we continue to live in peace? Unfortunately, there is no easy answer to this question. As much as we hope for a peaceful future, we must also prepare for the possibility of a World War III. By understanding the potential risks and consequences, we can work towards preventing such a disaster from occurring. Whether it's reducing nuclear stockpiles, promoting diplomacy, or investing in renewable energy sources, every effort counts. Ultimately, the future is in our hands, and we must do everything possible to protect our planet and its inhabitants. Here's a quick recap of what would happen to the world if World War III will happen. World War III would bring untold suffering to countless millions with mass casualties. Nuclear winter, a breakdown in the ecosystem, and a breakdown in the economy. Additionally, the psychological toll on survivors would be immense. So what would be the end of the world? The end of the world could come in many forms, such as the heat death of the universe, or the Big Crunch theory. However, all of these theories are just speculations, and we cannot be sure what will happen. The only thing we can be sure of is that it will be unlike anything we have ever seen before. And now I have a question for you. What do you think would be the end of the world? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.